The third day of the 5-day Hindu festival of Tihar is being observed today. While most of the country has been immersed in Tihar fervor, the government decision to ban popular video sharing app TikTok has drawn mixed reactions across social media. Also in this edition of Kantipur News, we have updates from the ongoing Israel-Hamas conflict and yet another record extension of Novak Djokovic. Good evening, I'm Sapsanamma. Let's begin with the top stories of the hour. Government decides to ban popular video sharing platform TikTok in Nepal, attributes its negative effects on social harmony in the country. Several incidents of fire reported across the country during Tihar. At least 32 injured in Morang, properties worth hundreds of thousands destroyed in Khotang, Sunsari and Bhojpur. An Israeli air raid near Khan Yunis in southern Gaza kills at least 7 people, 6 premature babies and 9 patients die since electrical shortages began affecting Al-Shifa hospital. And Novak Djokovic defeats Holger Rune at the ATP finals in Turin to end this year as world number 1 for a record 8th time. The government has decided to ban video sharing platform TikTok in Nepal. Government spokesperson and Minister for Communication and Information Technology Rekha Sharma informed about the decision of today's meeting of the Council of Ministers to ban TikTok in Nepal. Citing the platform's impact on social harmony, the government has decided to ban the platform.
लगातार एउटा सामाजिक सञ्जाल टिकटकबाट जुन लगातार रूपमा सामाजिक सद्भाव बिथोलिने गरेर र विभिन्न हाम्रो पारिवारिक संरचना हाम्रो सामाजिक सम्बन्धलाई खलबल ल्याउने गरी जुन लगातार प्रचार प्रसार भइरहेका छन् यस सन्दर्भमा अहिले तत्काललाई टिकटक बन्द गर्ने भन्ने अहिले क्याबिनेटको बैठकले निर्णय गरेको छ र यसको निम्ति प्राविधिक रूपमा हामीले निर्णय गरेर सञ्चार मन्त्रालयलाई यो निर्देशन गर्ने भन्ने पनि निर्णय भएको छ।
Nepal Telecommunications Authority has been directed for immediate implementation of the government decision. Meeting of the Council of Ministers held at the official residence of the Prime Minister in Baluatar today has also decided to provide 50,000 rupees each to the families displaced by the devastating earthquake in Jajarkot and Rukum West for their temporary settlement. The State Affairs Committee of the Parliament had taken stock of the earthquake-hit areas, heard grievances of the survivors and had furnished a report to Prime Minister Pushpa Kamal Dahal. The committee had directed the government to ensure immediate aid and relief for the survivors. Today's meeting has assigned the responsibility of conducting required studies for construction of accommodation facilities and furnishing a report to the Chief Secretary. The Cabinet has also decided to increase amount in the Parliamentary Infrastructure Fund to 10 billion rupees and use the amount for reconstruction works. The government has been facing criticisms for delay in relief and resettlement efforts in the earthquake-hit areas. Victims of the November 3rd earthquake with its epicenter in Jajarkot are still taking refuge under makeshift shelters. On the third day of the Hindu festival of Yamapanchak or Deepawali, Gai Tihar is being celebrated with much fanfare and enthusiasm across the country. Cows are considered as the representation of goddess Lakshmi, are specially worshipped today as they are also given some specially prepared delicacies. Cows are also worshipped as mothers as the milk provided by cows is considered sacred and as nutritious as a mother's milk. Cows also hold other practical implications in a Hindu culture as its urine is also considered sacred and used to treat various ailments, while cow dung since ages has been used as a source of fuel. The Hindu culture also believes that worshipping a cow on the day of Gai Tihar also helps in the salvation of our soul. There is also an age-old tradition of tying the sacred thread that we received earlier on Raksha Bandhan on the tail of cows on this day of Gai Tihar. The Tihar revelers also indulge in merrymaking with Deusi songs and dance as they go around from door to door asking for the blessings of goddess Lakshmi on households, while in return they are offered money and delicacies specially prepared in Tihar. In addition to flowers, 7 colors, oil lamps and fruits, the Festival of Light Tihar also witnesses a huge crowd of consumers at sweet shops. With the increase in consumers, the sweet shops are busy in producing different kinds of sweets and serving their consumers. With Tihar fervor on progress, consumers are flocking to sweet shops to purchase different kinds of sweets. As sweets are considered important for Lakshmi Puja, Bhau Puja and Bhai Tika, crowd of consumers can be seen at sweet shops in Kathmandu, Bhaktapur and Lalitpur, among other parts of the country. Operators of sweet shops have said that different kinds of sweets are high in demand during Tihar, especially those without inedible ingredients. Sisters consider sweets alongside sil roti, a traditional sweet, as inseparable parts of Bhai Tika. While sil roti, anarsa and fini, among a few other items, are made at home, most of the sweets are purchased from sweet shops. Operators of sweet shops have said that demand for sweets increased by up to 70% during Tihar festival. At least 32 have suffered injuries, while properties worth hundreds of thousands of rupees have been destroyed in fire at Khotang, Sunsari, Morang and Bhojpur. 32 were injured in a fire at Deepak Karki's house in Urlabari Municipality, Ward number 7 in Morang. Morang Police spokesperson Ranjan Dahal has said that those of the injured, 4 are in a critical condition. A fire had occurred at around 10:30 p.m. in the jewelry store Karki had operated at his house in Bargachi. Those injured in the fire are undergoing treatment at hospitals in Chapa and Morang. Based on preliminary investigations, explosion of a gas cylinder has in fact been identified as the cause of the fire. In another Sunday night fire at Anuj Lake's house near Shani Mandir in Morang, police have said that property worth 2.5 million rupees was destroyed. In Sunsari headquarters, Inarua, Ward number 1, a shop had caught fire because of firecrackers. Police has said that a house next to the shop was set ablaze, while properties worth more than 5 million rupees were damaged. In Khotang, an electrical short circuit led to a fire at the house of Bhim Bahadur Katwal in Halesi, destroying properties worth 2.5 million rupees. Meanwhile, an oil lamp lit at house of Gyanraj Bista in Bhojpur Municipality, Ward number 8, Pokhari Barbot, during Lakshmi Puja caused another fire, causing damages of more than 2.6 million rupees. Despite the dip in temperature, cases of dengue caused by mosquitoes have yet to drop. The Ministry of Health and Population has said that it cannot curb the infections on its own. The ministry has said that complications have surfaced in absence of required involvement of the public to curb dengue infections. According to the Epidemiology and Disease Control Division, 12,418 dengue cases were reported in October, while 929 have confirmed in 13 days of November. According to the Ministry of Health and Population, infections have reduced with the drop in temperature, but the risks persist. Eggs of mosquitoes spreading dengue have a lifespan of up to 9 months. Experts have said that such eggs and larvae must be destroyed to avoid risks for next year. Of around 50,000 dengue infections this year, 20 deaths have been reported, while dengue has been confirmed in all 77 districts of the country. Electricity service has resumed in Humla headquarters Simcote after 15 days. Nepal Electricity Authority Heldung Distribution Center has resumed electricity supply after conducting required repair and maintenance works. The area was devoid of electricity since the 26th of October. A total of 2,500 households of 2 rural municipalities, including Simcote, were compelled to live in darkness after obstruction in supply of power. Humla is yet to be connected with the national transmission line and has been suffering electricity outages even with basic issues. Following the dip in mercury, Border Security Police Post has been shifted from Limi of Humla to headquarters Simcote. The police post has been shifted as snowfall in Nyalu Lake at an altitude of 5,000 meters en route to Limi obstructs the way, while excessive cold makes it difficult to live in the area. According to District Police Office Humla, all 9 security personnel deployed at Limi Police Post at a distance of 54 kilometers from Simcote have reached the District Police Office. The police post was set up for the security of Dil, Halji and Jag villages and to curb criminal activities at Lapcha Customs Point. NepalChina Corolla Customs Point has been opened for the local residents of Upper Mustang starting today. The Kerala Customs with Nepal-China border pillar number 24 in the Upper Mustang area has been opened. The Kerala Customs point, which is located at an altitude of 4,650 meters above the sea level, was inaugurated by Mustang Chief District Officer Janak Raj Panta and Magistrate of Sigatse Province, Jomma County, Nurbuchiring. 3 containers of goods, including Tibetan salt, tea, ghee and blankets among others, gifted by the Jomma County of Tibet for the local residents of Lomanthang and Damodar Kunda, have entered Nepal with the opening of the Kerala Customs point. It's time now for our segment Public Pulse, where you text us with your opinion. The question is, what could be the reason for the halting of the government's tender process? Your options are A. Government inability, B. Lack of fund, and C. Procedural hassles. The voting is on. Type NEWS, select your option A, B or C and send it to 34001 to share your opinion with us. Time now for international update. Israel's war in Gaza has entered day 38. At least 11,100 Palestinians have been killed in Israeli attacks, and now the Palestinian Health Ministry has said it is unable to update its casualty figures due to the collapse of medical centers and communication services across the Gaza Strip. An Israeli air raid near Khan Yunis in southern Gaza today killed at least 7 people. 6 premature babies and 9 patients have died since electrical shortages began affecting Al-Shifa Hospital several days ago. The World Health Organization has warned of a dire and perilous situation, saying more patients, including premature babies, are dying. Gaza's 2 largest hospitals, Al-Shifa and Al-Quds, have both closed, and Israeli snipers continue to fire at anyone near Al-Shifa Hospital, trapping thousands inside. About 200 families in the vicinity of the hospital cannot move from their homes. Some 100 bodies are decomposing in the courtyard of the hospital. Flags flew at half-mast at United Nations compounds across the globe today as staff observed a minute silence in memory of colleagues killed in Gaza during the Israel-Hamas conflict. In Geneva, the second largest UN headquarters after New York, the UN flag flew at half-mast and none of the other flags of the 193 member countries were hoisted along the main alley of the compound. Events were also held in Kathmandu and Kabul, where the UN Secretary General's Special Representative for Afghanistan, Rosa Otunbayeva, led about 250 people in observing the minute silence. The UN Agency for Supporting Palestinians, UNRWA, has said more than 100 of its employees had died in the Gaza Strip since the start of the war. British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak has sacked Interim Minister Suella Braverman, one of his most senior ministers, following comments she made last week about the police's handling of a pro-Palestinian march. Braverman had last week defied Sunak by publishing an article in The Times attacking the police's handling of a march that took place on Saturday. Critics said her stance helped inflame tensions and encouraged right-wing protesters to take to the streets of London, putting Sunak under pressure to take action. Braverman was reappointed as interim minister on October 25, 2022 by Sunak, less than a week after she resigned from the role for breaching government rules. The 42-year-old stepped down a day before former Prime Minister Liz Truss did after breaching email security rules, also voicing concerns about the direction of Truss's government in her resignation letter. First elected to Parliament in 2015, Braverman is regarded as being on the right wing of the governing Conservative Party. She was a committed Brexit supporter. British Foreign Minister James Cleverly will replace Suella Braverman as the country's interim minister, the political editor of The Sun newspaper said today. Meanwhile, former British Prime Minister David Cameron is set to become Foreign Secretary, the Telegraph newspaper has reported, returning to the political front line after he quit in 2016 when he failed to keep Britain in the European Union. Conservative Cameron, who led the campaign for Britain to remain in the EU, resigned after the country narrowly voted in favour of Brexit in 2016. He was followed by Theresa May, Boris Johnson and Liz Truss before Sunak took power last year. Up to 1 million people in Somalia are facing devastating impacts of intense rains and flooding as the El Niño global weather phenomenon wreaks havoc in East Africa. Displaced individuals are grappling with the challenge of finding suitable shelter, while damaged or inadequate transport infrastructure is hindering the delivery of vital aid and supplies by national and international agencies. The flooding disaster took place just a few months after the Horn of Africa country endured a historic drought. Despite the Somali government's efforts, several towns remain submerged, and the prospect of the rain subsiding in the near future appears dim. Nevertheless, humanitarian initiatives persist despite frustrating logistical obstacles. Somalia isn't the only country in the region being affected by this global weather phenomenon known as El Nino. Kenya and Ethiopia have also reported deaths and displacement due to heavy rainfall and flooding. The UN says it will provide $25 million to jumpstart life-saving assistance for those affected. Several Indian cities joined New Delhi to be among the world's worst 10 for pollution today, a day after revelers let loose with firecrackers for Diwali, the annual Hindu festival of light. New Delhi, the world's most polluted capital, took the top spot with an air quality index figure of 420, putting it in the hazardous category, according to Swiss group IQ Air. Kolkata in India's east came in fourth with an AQI of 196. The financial capital of Mumbai was eighth with an AQI of 163. Pune city clocked in at 162. An AQI level of 400 to 500 impacts healthy people and is dangerous to those with existing diseases, while a level of 150 to 200 brings discomfort to people with asthma, lung and heart problems. Every year, authorities impose bans on firecrackers in the capital, but only rarely do those bans appear to be enforced. The local government plans to review the decision after Diwali. A new round of United Nations-backed talks to limit global plastic pollution will take place in Nairobi, Kenya from 13 to 19 November. Plastics entering the world's oceans have surged by an unprecedented amount since 2005 and could nearly triple by 2040 if no further actions is taken, according to research published in March this year. An estimated 171 trillion plastic particles were afloat in the oceans by 2019, according to peer-reviewed research led by the 5 Gyres Institute, a U.S. organization that campaigns to reduce plastic pollution. The defense ministers of South Korea and the U.S. met today for security talks, with discussions set to focus on jointly countering threats by North Korea, including through Executive Extended Deterrence Strategy. The strategy, which holds that the U.S. will use strategic military assets, including nuclear forces, to defend its allies, has taken on a greater significance as North Korea pushes ahead with its ballistic missile and nuclear programs. North Korea has called for the United Nations Command UNC to be dissolved, calling it an illegal war organization, over a meeting which is scheduled to take place between UNC member states in South Korea later this week. The US-led UNC is a multinational military force and oversees affairs in the heavily fortified, demilitarized zone between the two Koreas, which remain technically at war. That is all for the moment. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.